Hello, I'm Philip Duncan from weatherwatch.co.nz with your global weather extremes for Monday, and we are tracking a few tropical storms, some big rainmakers, and we're also taking a look at some snowmakers, not only in the southern hemisphere but increasing in the northern hemisphere. In fact, we've heard from a few people in Canada recently how summer feels like it has quite abruptly ended and that you're feeling fall or autumn in the air and that winter may not be that far off. So hopefully, well, it depends on whether you like winter or not, but hopefully that's not the case, that it's not dramatically ending that fast. But we kick off with the storms up here. Now we're going to have more details on the tropical storm, on the typhoon that is coming into Shanghai today. We'll have more details about that in a moment, but that is definitely the biggest and main feature on the planet right now. There is a tropical storm falling apart in Vietnam that's bringing a lot of rain, and then over in India there is a big rainmaker here. In fact, it's brushing parts of Bangladesh, but this one's also got the potential to bring in some flooding today. So we'll have more details on that and the rainfall expected in a moment. But as we track around the planet looking at other large areas of low pressure, this is probably the next big one. It's between Greenland and Iceland. You might have noticed that quite a few of these storms form in this area. We've got another one to the northern part of Europe that's driving in more wet weather to parts of Finland and Sweden and Norway. And then down off the coast of Portugal and Spain, we've got another low down here, bringing in a bit of wet weather to coastal areas. As we move along to the southern hemisphere, in my part of the world, we've got a cold front moving up into New Zealand right now, snow, rain, and many thunderstorms. In fact, winds have been very strong, 160 km/h gusts or 100 miles an hour as that front moves up New Zealand. And over in Australia, though, big area of high pressure. And our final air pressure map is actually showing something that's a little hard to see, but is still significant. We've got a tropical storm in here, Nicholas, that's formed, and that's likely to move up towards Texas. And on the other side of Mexico, a couple of areas there to keep an eye on. So a few storms around the planet and a few lows as we go through the start of this week. So let's kick off as we take a closer look at the tropical storms now. We'll kick off with Nicholas, and that is out here in the Gulf of Mexico. It is heading in, by the looks of it, directly in towards Houston. And it looks as though it'll be a rainmaker. So it's only a tropical storm. When I say only, that means it's got gale force winds around it, but what we would call a tropical cyclone, in fact, in my part of the world. But for the Atlantic, this is a tropical storm. It's just a little bit shy of making it into a hurricane, and it looks as though it's going to stay at that lower strength. So this is a rainmaker more than a wind maker. So you need to keep an eye on that as it moves on through. It looks like it's quite slow moving as it moves up there and towards Dallas. The spaghetti modeling, which shows the different models putting together the likely tracking of it, shows it's quite consistent coming into Texas, maybe Louisiana as well. And around Mexico, that other rainmaker, that other tropical system, looks as though it is going to stay offshore. So that is good news for there. Now moving over to the Western Pacific, these are the two main storms. Now Chanthu is definitely the biggest focus at the moment. So wind speeds kilometers an hour, 137, gusting to about 170 as it moves in. And as it comes into Shanghai, yes, it weakens. It drops back to a tropical storm likely in the next 12 hours or so. But it's very slow moving, and then it turns around and becomes, well, stays a tropical storm, but becomes an issue especially for Japan as it goes through that extratropical phase. In other words, it stops being tropical and warm at the middle, becomes cold at the center, grows in size. So it weakens, turns around, and then might turn into a new storm system for parts of Japan, but certainly for today, Shanghai, the main focus for that storm. Now, further down into Vietnam, Da Nang, likely to be getting the direct hit maybe, or very close to it, as this next system moves through. What was Conson, barely got the name now, it's a tropical depression as it moves through. So while it's not a typhoon, winds aren't the main feature, rain is. So landslides, mudslides, flooding could be an issue around Vietnam, maybe going into Laos as well over the next couple of days. Look at the rainfall in Shanghai as this system comes through. So the typhoon comes through, the rainfall totals in Ningbo increase, in Shanghai they go up. So we're talking, this is for the next 24 hours. The areas in orange do have flood risks. The storm itself just offshore as it comes on through, but the rain doesn't penetrate very far inland. In fact, when you get over here to Wuhan, it's looking dry, maybe completely dry. So very much a Shanghai focused storm as it comes through over the next few hours. Let's take a look further around the world. We've got more rain as Nicholas comes into parts of Texas and Louisiana. The rainfall totals there will start to increase. And then those other tropical systems just off the western side of Mexico, lining up the rainfall there. The usual thunderstorms in Mexico City. And we've got some big rainfall in parts of India. The usual thunderstorms occurring over on the western side. But over here in Odisha, the rainfall totals could be in excess of 100 to 150 millimeters of rain in just the next 24 hours. So definitely a risk of some flooding in this part of India as that tropical system moves on through. And the temperatures will also be going up. And in Europe, the heaviest rain is actually coming into here in Iceland, some parts of Greenland as well. And then we go into parts of Norway, Sweden, and Finland, where the heaviest rain is actually in Finland through the northern areas here. And some of that will also be falling as snow. And because of that low that's down near Spain, a wee bit sneaking into the United Kingdom and parts of Ireland. So let's take a look at snow now. We've got a bit of snow falling around the planet. So as we take a look at the Andes, some heavy snow in here. This is over 50, 60 centimeters of snow. That's well south of Santiago, but the snow is definitely falling along the mountains of South America over the next 24 hours. We've got snow falling in New Zealand along the southern Alps and mostly around the South Island, a little bit getting into the North Island. Lambing season underway, so farmers don't want to see too much of this weather, but hopefully things will calm down a wee bit in the south as we go through this week. And the other area with snow at the moment, parts of Alaska and also parts of Canada, getting some heavy snow as it develops that time of the year, where we're starting to see summer slipping away very quickly, especially around Anchorage with those heavy snowfalls in the mountains. And hello to everyone in Homer. And we take a look now at the snow, the last snow map we've got here, which is in Iceland and Greenland. Now, there's been a lot of snow actually falling around Greenland, but they've also had rain for the first time ever recorded in the high up elevations, 3-4 kilometers above sea level. But along this area in the coastal zone today, that heavy rain, but also some very heavy snow falling there. And in Iceland, a lot of rain falling at the moment, but in the higher up regions, this side is much higher. There's quite a big plateau in here, lower down on this side, on the western side. So we've got rain falling as snow in this area. But just going back to Greenland for a moment, I just want to show you something from a geography point of view. This is taken off Google Earth. Now, where I'm from in New Zealand, we've got a few glaciers in the South Island. Most glaciers around the world tend to go in a line, right? They go from the mountains out to sea quite often. But these ones here are really unusual, and I saw this because I was playing, I'm a bit of a nerd, and I was playing Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I flew over Greenland, and I looked down and thought, surely those aren't glaciers that are crisscrossing, but they are. That's exactly what you're seeing in here. So I just thought that was a remarkable image taken from that zone I just showed you on the map there. So very cool image. Now, taking a look at temperatures around the world, nothing too extreme really happening at the moment. You can see those cooler changes down here around the southern hemisphere, parts of New Zealand and Australia, and also the cooler northerlies coming in around Anchorage and Alaska. The heat, it's still around since Hurricane Ida, still pretty warm across a large portion of America and Canada. But maybe the temperatures have dropped down just a little bit into the north here and a little bit through the Midwest. And you can certainly see that colder change coming in around South America with the snow falling, especially on the Chile side at the moment. And the final map that I've got for today, the image of today, definitely has to go to the storm, the typhoon coming in around Shanghai today. So like I say, this is taken at lunchtime today, Shanghai time. Shanghai is right here. So the storm is just off the coastline, very close. It could make a direct hit. I think the modeling is suggesting it might just be offshore. But wind damage and rain damage are both possible around Shanghai for the next 24 hours. So please do take care, be safe, and then Japan and Korea as well. Take care as that system moves on to you over the next week ahead. That is all from me for today. Thanks again for all the amazing comments on YouTube. I'll be back again on Wednesday with our next Global Weather Extremes update.